Hey everyone, today's tutorial is for a high-waisted bikini bottom. So for this we're going to need half a meter of stretchy swim fabric as well as half a meter of a nice soft lining, and we're going to need some 1/4 inch elastic, and for the pattern a pair of underwear or a bikini bottom you already own. So I start by just tracing out the back half of the bikini bottom first. I then went ahead and added half an inch seam allowance all the way around the bikini bottom except for the waistband. I added 5 inches to the waistband because I wanted an extra high-waisted look, but you could add as much or as little as you like. I then simply cut out the pattern, and I marked it in half so that I would only have half a pattern piece because I wanted to cut out my pattern along the fold. I then repeated the exact same steps for the front half of the bikini, but for the front leg hole I simply held the fabric back, made little tick marks, and then connected them after. I added half an inch seam allowance the same as the front and marked the pattern in half again. Once I cut it out and had both my pattern pieces, I matched them up along the side seam to make sure that they lined up perfectly along the leg hole and the waistband. Once I was happy with how that looked, I started cutting out my pattern. So I just folded the fabric in half, making sure it had a really good straight line, placed my back pattern piece down, and cut around it. I repeated the exact same steps using the front half of the bikini pattern. I did the same process for the lining using the pieces I had already cut out as a pattern instead. Once I finished that, I went ahead and took the outside pieces first and placed them right sides facing together, and I'm going to pin and sew along the side seams as well as the crotch seam. Did the same thing for the lining and they looked something like this, so I go ahead now and just run them through my serger so that I have a nice stretchy stitch. If you don't have a serger though, you could just use a wide zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. Once I had that, I went ahead and turned the lining piece so that it was right side facing out, and then I simply slipped the outside piece into the lining so that they would be wrong sides touching. So I start pinning the leg holes by starting at the crotch seam, just so that I have a good solid place to start, and then I pin the side seams, and then I work my way around the leg hole. I repeat the same process for the waistband, just matching up those side seams. I run that all through my serger to attach the lining to the outside piece. Once I have that, I go ahead and measure out my elastic for my leg holes. So to do that, I just took the elastic and walked it all the way around the leg hole. To measure the waistband, I simply wrapped it around my waist and subtracted 2 to 3 inches so that it would hold up snugly. When I was happy with how that looked, I went ahead and cut 2 identical pieces for the leg holes. And then I'm just going to make a loop out of it by overlapping that by about 1 inch. It's okay if the elastic ends up being smaller than the leg hole. We can always stretch to sew as we work. I took it over to my sewing machine and just closed that loop, sewing on that 1 inch piece by using a wide zigzag stitch back and forth. Once I had that loop, I took it and marked one side and then stretched the elastic to mark exactly the half across from it. I pinned one of those points to the center seam on the bottom, and then I stretched the swimsuit material of the leg hole so that I could pin the other piece exactly across from that. So all that I'm trying to do here is mark 4 equal points of the elastic to the leg hole opening so that I can stretch and sew the elastic evenly. So once I had my 4 equal points, I go ahead and take the edge of the fabric and fold it exactly over my 1/4 inch elastic and pin it down all the way around. So once I finished, it looked like this. Now I can take it through my sewing machine and use a wide zigzag stitch to finish off that hem. So when I take it through my sewing machine, I pull the elastic so that it lays flat against the swimsuit fabric. Once I finished off the leg holes, I did the exact same process for the waistband, and that completes the swimsuit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful for you. If you want to see a tutorial for how I made the top that pairs really well with this bottom, go ahead and hit subscribe and I'll be coming out with that soon.